Welcome to the Happy Mindset, episode number 95. Today's episode is called video journaling. So today I'm just going to talk about video journaling. This is something that I've been doing in recent years, especially in the last few months now as well. I just wanted to talk about this, maybe have an explanation that might help you to wrap your head around this concept of video journaling. So, I'm a writer today, but I don't use journaling a lot. I don't actually physically write out a journal a lot. I don't do that so much because I do find it very long. It takes me too long to actually, I find my brain kind of thinks faster than my hand is able to write when I'm in that process of journaling. Like when I'm writing a blog post or when I'm writing a book, that process is slightly different because I'm more reflecting on things as I'm writing, and that's how you can create something that's clearer when you're in a more reflective mode and you're thinking through things. Like, you're not going to write a book by going through the process of journaling. Like, my process when I am journaling is that I'm the intention behind journaling is to give an outlet to the stories in your head, to externalize them. Because what happens when you don't externalize them is that they just take on the background noise in your mind, in your life. And they will be the things that you assume to be true. They'll be at the root of a lot of emotions that are difficult to process. They'll keep festering there. So especially now in terms of the state we're in at the moment, where we're self-isolating, this is unfortunately a time where a lot of these stories that have just been there in the background might be surfacing more and more. Those emotions, particularly that you might have suppressed for a long time, they might be cracks coming through now, that they might be appearing. So the video journaling is a way to externalize the stories, externalize the thoughts, so that you don't let them fester and consume yourself and turn into monsters, because that's what can happen. So with the journaling, how I think about it, the video journaling, this is something that I wasn't very comfortable with before. It's only through podcasting over the years, from actually seeing myself on video, that I've gotten used to looking at myself and hearing myself, even my voice as well. That took a while for me to get used to, just hearing my voice as well. It's I remember when you're younger, you're I can remember especially I would record myself, maybe for something, I don't know what it was, and I used to dread having to record myself back or listen to myself back. I had to, for some reason, record myself, and I really hated it. It was actually very foreign to me to actually hear myself. But over the years, I've gotten used to it now. And this is something as well, if you're somebody who's very self-conscious and you might be self-loathing, by videoing yourself, you're just getting used to yourself, seeing yourself on camera, it gives you another perspective of how other people might actually see you. Because I'll do the video journaling and I'll also play it back. So I'll be able to see myself talking like that. It sounds, if I'd said this to myself 10 years ago, I would have what is this guy on about? I'm not doing that. That's because I would have been so kind of self-conscious and so resistant of doing it. But why I do it today is because it gives me perspective on stories. So if you're anything like me, you might have suppressed a lot of emotions, particularly anger, over the years. So I suppressed a lot of anger over the years because I didn't know how to deal with it in a healthy way. Because I'd reference points in my, when I was growing up, I wasn't able to handle anger, and there was always kind of bad consequences for it. So I naively thought that, well, it wasn't even a conscious thought, it was an unconscious thing. All of this is pretty much unconscious. What we're doing is making the unconscious conscious by doing these little things. But I made an unconscious decision that I would bottle up that anger instead of lash out, because I didn't want to hurt people. I didn't want to. Also, I would suffer a lot too when I felt like I hurt people. I'd be very guilty and all that type of stuff. So unconsciously, I made the decision not to feel anger and not to express it. But that isn't healthy. That anger doesn't go anywhere. So what ends up happening is that it will come out in different places. You can't suppress it forever. If you're going to have a healthy mind and a healthy body, it's not possible in my experience. I've suffered the consequences on a mental and physical level from bottling up these emotions for a long time. So with the video journaling, the intention is to just give an outlet to release these emotions, because you might still be in situations where you're feeling a lot of anger and you don't know what to do with it. I experienced that today as well. And the way I approach it is that if I feel an overwhelming sense of anger, I'll often just breathe into it and not actually react from that, because I know myself whether I'm able to handle that or not in the moment. I found just breathing into it, not ignoring it, not suppressing it, acknowledging it and breathing into it. That's the first step. When you're in situations with people where you might just feel a lot of anger, you're triggered in some way, and you don't want to lash out because you know it's going to make it worse, but you also don't want to suppress and ignore something because it's not going to go away. The alternative is to breathe into it and acknowledge it. So the video journaling is it's kind of like that. It's taking that and building on it. It's like it's bringing more power to that. So the video journaling can help you to voice the emotion. So when you're doing it, it's unfiltered. Like I what made me think of this, I think again, was Dave Rock on a few episodes ago. He mentioned the 5 minutes of unfiltered talking. I had been doing that for a while, but I hadn't thought about it in terms of doing it just to release the emotion. I was doing it more so the video journaling to check in with myself and to clarify things in my mind, but I hadn't thought about using it as a way to release emotion. So when I'm coming at it from that point of view, though, it's just simply to release emotion. So you say anything that comes to mind. Like, this is difficult initially when you're not used to this sort of a process, because when you say things, at the very beginning you'll judge yourself for saying things, because you might say things that seem rude or whatever, or that you're blaming people or stuff like that. But what is helpful to keep in mind is if you bring the intention that you're simply releasing emotions, it's like, just think about it in terms of like you're just leaving the steam out of the kettle. That's the purpose. It's not to analyze the stories. It's not to delve into the stories. It's simply to release it. And if you do that over time, you're releasing the emotions. And then what tends to kind of shift as well is that you'll find that your focus around who you were angry with, or those individuals, your focus will start shifting, like as you start releasing the emotions, because a lot of times you're triggered by things in the environment because you just haven't dealt with the emotion. And so this is a way to actually bring the emotion up and feel it. So this is for somebody who's already somewhat comfortable with emotions. I would encourage you to like keep it simple. You don't have to go too deep into this stuff, especially when it's just yourself. It's just to give yourself an outlet to actually release and feel some of the emotions that you might be battling up. That's simply all it is. And the reason I'm saying video journaling is because I write a lot, and yet I still find it hard to get into the habit of writing out a journal, because when I'm in that state of mind, I do feel like my hand isn't writing fast enough for my mind. And what I want is an actual release to get the thoughts out, get the stories out. Because that's the purpose for me, is to just get those stories out. Like Dave said in the episode, a lot of times what's blocking us from inspiration and expressing things are the feelings that we're just not like, that are showing up in a moment that we're just not willing to go there. Like that's blocking you off from like having inspiration and expressing yourself more fully. Because when you're blocking yourself off and judging certain emotions, then you're not going to be as fluid in your speech and how you think about things and how you talk as well. So this is the way to, like Dave said, to start getting to the inspiration. And it's been something I've been doing for a while, but I hadn't thought about it, that I was also releasing emotions when I was doing my journals. Because you can also use it as well as a way to keep on track, to get clear on your goals. Like when you speak things out, I find that's another layer as well. It's probably more powerful than just writing, because it's more of a visceral experience, because you're speaking. It's a bodily sensation. And so I find that writing, the speaking is can be a bit more of a visceral experience, and that's what you want for change in your life, because change does need to also happen. What did I say? Happy. Change needs to happen on a body level as well, because otherwise you're just kind of stuck in your body. You're trapped in your body. So you want to also be free in your body as well as free in your mind. More freer, like the freer. Express yourself. So that's the video journaling. I hope that's useful. I just wanted to share that today, because I know, especially in times of self-isolation, this could be a problem for a lot of people. What this will help you with is that when you are feeling those, when you're at home and somebody's annoying you and pissing you off and stuff, or you're reacting to situations and stuff, if you keep this in mind, that like, focus on the emotion more so than the story. Forget about the story. Look at the emotion. Because when you, like, oftentimes we're triggered by things that shouldn't logically be bothering us, but they do. So look at the emotion underneath that interaction, and you can do that by breathing into the emotion when it comes up in a moment, and just not reacting. You don't have to change the situation. You just have to become more aware of the situation and breathe into it. Because what I found is that there's new situations in my life that I just don't know what to do with them, because I haven't had those frames of reference before. I haven't been able to act in a way that's given me a different result, so I don't know what those actions look like yet. But what I can do is I can create space, so I can start changing the habitual reactions that weren't serving me. So we're breaking the chain. We don't know what the new chain of thought is or the new behavior is yet, but the first step is to break it. And these are two steps that are very useful. Breathe into the emotion when you feel it, when you see it coming up. Don't be too tough on yourself either, because if you're very reactive to life, this will take time. But it's not impossible. It'll just take time. Be patient with it. And the other step is the video journaling. Video journaling is simply a way to feel into the emotions and put a voice to it. Don't worry about what stories come up, what things come up. Don't analyze it too much. Just bring it to the surface and just speak it out, and keep it simple. Don't go too just trust yourself as well when it comes to all this. Trust your body, trust your mind. Don't take things too far if you feel they're too far. Just take it at your own pace. So I hope that's useful. Thanks again for listening, and I will speak to you on the next episode.